So we recently got our hands on this, the Backbone 1 controller, and this is meant to be one of those controllers that makes it great for cloud gaming and helps to remove some of that input lag. It's meant to be comfortable, and we've heard so many of you rant and rave about it in the comments that we needed to pick it up. Now we did an unboxing and my initial impressions were really positive of this, but now we've had some time to play with it. Let's see how well our impressions hold up in this review of this. So we've used things like the Razer Kishi, the GameSir X2, and then obviously things like the Stadia controller and the Xbox controller. We do a lot of cloud gaming, reviews. So when this thing was finally available in stock, we decided to throw the dice, pick it up and see what it was all about. Now this is the most expensive one out of the bunch. Now the RRP is about the same for this and the Razer Kishi, however the Kishi is often on sale for like $79.99 versus the $99.99 that this costs. I haven't been able to find this any cheaper anywhere else, so just bear that in mind. The GameSir X2 is the more budget one and that comes in at about $59.99, so there is kind of variation between them and they all have their different pros and cons. We'll be covering that in a future video, so make sure you subscribe, but for now we're talking about the Backbone. Including the price, you'll also get a month's free of Game Pass Premium. However, if you've already subscribed to that, you can't claim it, which is a bit of a shame. I wish they kind of did it as a credit that you could put towards it, but unfortunately not. However, if you've not used the Game Pass service, that's something to bear in mind when you're making your purchase. So we'll start off with the things that we like about this device, and I've got to say, I am really impressed with the feel of it. I didn't expect to be at first, and in all the pictures and everything, it looks a lot bigger than what it actually is. I don't know what it is about all their kind of press releases and stuff like that, but for whatever reason, it looks like a really big and bulky controller. These sort of grips at the bottom, they look as though they're going to be massive, but they're not. It's incredibly small, it's very comfortable to hold, and those grips are just about long enough to kind of hook my fingers under, so when I'm doing some gaming, it's by far the most comfortable sort of games controller that actually grips onto your phone that I've used. I prefer it versus my Nintendo Switch, I prefer it to the Razer Kishi, I prefer it to the GameSir X2. It's the most comfortable one, at least in my opinion. And that's because you don't have to claw your hand around it. With the other ones, you always kind of, I don't know, there's nowhere to put your fingers sometimes, so you end up in this claw-like thing, you end up with hand cramp, and quite a few of you have mentioned that in the comments below as well and asked us about this. So yeah, I'm really impressed with it. The joysticks are really nice to use as well. They feel a little bit smaller than something like the Nintendo Switch, but if you have used Nintendo Switch before, then you will be pretty much right at home with these, as they're almost identical in terms of styling. They're comfortable, they feel good, they're responsive, and yeah, I just like them. In terms of button, the A, X, Y, and B in our initial unboxing I said was a little bit mushy with a satisfying click at the end of it. However, they seem to have broken in over time and they just feel really good to use. I'm still not a fan of the D-pad, it's just this kind of, I don't know, I guess it's down to preference. It's a decent enough click, but I'm just not a fan of it. Your bumper buttons and your triggers are decent as well. They're well positioned, although maybe a little bit cramped. However, they're easy enough to hit. They're okay in terms of the usage, but they're nothing special, nothing to write home about. However, they do the job and they feel comfortable enough to use. I'm a big fan of how expandable it is, so it pops all the way out, so pretty much whatever device you've got, you're going to be able to pop that in here in terms of iOS devices. However, bear in mind, if you have one of the newer iPhone 13s, there are some teething issues at the moment with the camera bump pressing against this back bit here. You can 3D print a part, however, obviously that's not going to be the easiest of things to do for some people. One of the big standout things I absolutely adore about this is, like every other controller, it has the lightning pass-through, so you can charge it up if you are doing a long session of cloud gaming. But even better than that, they have a headphone jack on there, so that way, if you want to have your headphones putting your audio through it, you don't have to throw any additional Bluetooth into the mix, which can cause some extra input lag. So that is the first time we've seen that on one of these controllers, and I absolutely love it. The one thing I'm going to call them out for, and this is the big dislike about it, and I do think this could potentially be a bit of a deal breaker for some people, is the fact that it's just awkward to get in and out. Once you get used to it, it's not so bad. But for example, if I go to put my iPhone in there, unlike something like the GameSir X2, where it angles, this lightning port here starts to angle out so you can just kind of clip it in and then slot it, or something like the Razer Kishi, which is, I guess, in this kind of foldable almost mess and it clips on there. With this, you've got to be really careful because that doesn't move. It's well and truly mounted in place. So for us, we have to remember to do that, and then you kind of pop it in there and line it up, and then it clips like so. The bigger issue is taking out. I cannot tell you the amount of times when I've kind of moved it slightly from there and gone to yank it, and then realise that I'm probably at some point gonna rip it off and snap that lightning in there. Obviously, if you're not clumsy like me, it's not going to be a big issue. But again, if you've got kids or something like that and you're giving them this device, just bear in mind that there is a larger chance with this that you're going to break it. At least in my opinion there is. You've got to remember to kind of pull it out in one motion like that, which again, it's not hard to do, but it's something that you've got to remember to do every single time. It's the first time I've actually been worried about that port kind of breaking off in a device versus some of the Kishi or the GameSir X2. I wish that was just flexible and it would move a little bit. It would certainly help me to not worry too much. The other thing as well, and we mentioned this in our unboxing, is the fact that when it's in there, it feels pretty stable until it's not. And like if you knock it, there's a lot of movement up and down there. And obviously, you shouldn't be knocking it too much like that, but I do worry about that. And again, the pressure it's putting on that lightning port down at the bottom there. So that's, again, something to bear in mind. I wish it was a bit more sturdy and had something to clip at the tops and bottoms of the phones like the Kishi does, and whether or not they could put something in there like a rubber mount, that would make it a lot better. And I wish that that lightning port was flexible just to stop any potential damage from happening. Apart from that, this is an absolute killer device. And I think, and I'm going to go out there and say it, this is my favourite of the controllers that we've been using for cloud gaming in terms of ones that physically clip into the iPhone. Let us know in the comments, is this the one that you've been using? Have you been using a different controller? And what your thoughts are on this one. But so far, I've got to say, it only has a couple of downsides. Like I said, the flexibility of that, I wish it was there, and I wish there was something to clamp it in. But apart from that, build quality is spot on. It's this lovely matte plastic. It feels really comfortable in the hand. I love these grips, and it's just not too big. All the buttons and controls, I think, are very, very precise. They don't feel as though there's any input lag or anything like that. So I am incredibly impressed with this, and thank you everyone in the comments who's been shouting about this, because if we hadn't been, probably wouldn't have picked this one up. So really impressed. If you are in the market for a games controller to use for cloud gaming on Stadia, xCloud or GeForce Now, then this is well and truly worthwhile considering. Although we like the Kishi and the GameSir X2, this one, in our opinion, is our favourite so far. Like I said towards the beginning of the video, we are going to have a full breakdown of all three of those games controllers, what we like about different ones, what we dislike about them as well, and the reasons why you might want to pick up one over the other, so make sure you subscribe for that. But in the meantime, this is our now a new go-to one, and it's absolutely awesome, especially if you're in the market for some cloud gaming. So if you've got any questions at all, throw them down in the comments below and we'll do our best to answer those. But in the meantime, hit that like button just because it helps this channel to grow, and we'll be back in the future with some more awesome content. Stay safe and we will see you soon. Bye.